Question 1. In Nebraska, during the investigation of a complex surplus lines insurance claim, what are the key considerations for claims professionals regarding the use of outside experts? A. Hiring the cheapest available experts to minimize costs. B. Avoiding collaboration with experts to expedite the claims process. C. Assessing the qualifications and expertise of potential experts. D. Consulting only with experts recommended by insureds. Correct answer. C. Assessing the qualifications and expertise of potential experts. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, claims professionals must carefully assess the qualifications and expertise of outside experts when conducting investigations. The selection of experts should be based on their relevant experience, credentials, and ability to provide objective analysis and opinions. By choosing qualified experts, claims professionals enhance the credibility and thoroughness of investigations, ensuring accurate assessment of claims and compliance with regulatory standards. Question 2. When evaluating the extent and value of a surplus lines insurance claim in Nebraska, what role does reserving play? A. Reserving is optional and not required by law. B. Reserving ensures compliance with federal regulations. C. Reserving provides an estimate of potential claim costs. D. Reserving limits the insurer's financial liability. Correct answer. C. Reserving provides an estimate of potential claim costs. Explanation. Reserving in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims provides an estimate of potential claim costs that insurers may incur. It involves setting aside funds based on initial claim assessments to cover anticipated claim payments. Accurate reserving supports financial planning, ensures adequate claim funding, and facilitates timely claim settlements. Claims professionals must adhere to reserving practices to uphold regulatory compliance and ethical standards in claims handling. Question 3. Mr. Smith, a claims professional handling a surplus lines insurance claim in Nebraska, discovers potential misconduct by the insured during the investigation. What ethical considerations should Mr. Smith prioritize in this situation? A. Concealing the misconduct to expedite claim resolution. B. Disclosing the misconduct to relevant authorities. C. Ignoring the misconduct to avoid conflict with the insured. D. Minimizing communication with the insured about the misconduct. Correct answer. B. Disclosing the misconduct to relevant authorities. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, claims professionals like Mr. Smith must prioritize ethical considerations when discovering potential misconduct by the insured. Ethical standards require disclosure of misconduct to relevant authorities to uphold transparency, fairness, and regulatory compliance. Disclosing misconduct supports the integrity of the claims process, protects insurer interests, and ensures accountability. Claims professionals should avoid concealing or ignoring misconduct to maintain ethical standards and professional conduct. Question 4. When interpreting coverage under surplus lines insurance policy in Nebraska, what factors should claims professionals consider regarding policy exclusions? A. Exclusions are immaterial unless specifically requested by the insured. B. Exclusions are applied universally to all surplus lines policies. C. Exclusions must be interpreted narrowly against the insured. D. Exclusions should align with insured's reasonable expectations. Correct answer. D. Exclusions should align with insured's reasonable expectations. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance policies should interpret policy exclusions to align with insured's reasonable expectations. This approach ensures that exclusions are applied fairly and do not unduly limit coverage beyond what insureds would reasonably anticipate. By considering insured's reasonable expectations, claims professionals uphold fairness, regulatory compliance, and ethical standards in claims handling practices. Question 5. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims settlement negotiations, what strategies should claims professionals employ to achieve fair and timely resolutions? A. Delaying negotiations to assess market conditions. B. Using aggressive tactics to minimize settlement amounts. C. Engaging in collaborative discussions with insureds. D. Excluding insureds from settlement negotiations. Correct answer. C. Engaging in collaborative discussions with insureds. Explanation. To achieve fair and timely resolutions in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims settlement negotiations, claims professionals should engage in collaborative discussions with insureds. Collaborative negotiations foster transparency, build trust, and ensure that insured's perspectives are considered in settlement agreements. By involving insureds in negotiations, claims professionals promote fair claim resolutions, uphold ethical standards, and comply with regulatory requirements for effective claims handling. Question 6. What ethical considerations should claims professionals prioritize when handling confidential information in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims? A. Sharing confidential information with third parties for claim resolution. B. Implementing secure handling and protection of confidential information. C. Delaying claim processing to avoid confidentiality risks. D. Limiting communication with insureds about confidential matters. Correct answer. B. Implementing secure handling and protection of confidential information. Explanation. Ethical considerations in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling require claims professionals to prioritize implementing secure handling and protection of confidential information. Protecting confidentiality is essential to maintain trust, uphold insurer obligations, and comply with legal requirements. By implementing security measures and limiting access to confidential data, claims professionals demonstrate ethical conduct, protect insured's privacy rights, and mitigate risks associated with unauthorized disclosure. Question 7. When evaluating coverage and liability in a complex surplus lines insurance claim in Nebraska, what role does policy language interpretation play? A. Ignoring policy language unless explicitly requested. B. Interpreting policy language broadly to minimize coverage. C. Applying the doctrine of reasonable expectations. D. Restricting policy interpretation to exclude exclusions. Correct answer. C. Applying the doctrine of reasonable expectations. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, claims professionals should apply the doctrine of reasonable expectations when interpreting policy language. This doctrine ensures that policy terms are interpreted in a manner that aligns with the insured's reasonable expectations of coverage. By applying this principle, claims professionals enhance fairness, promote clarity in policy interpretation, and uphold ethical standards in claims handling practices. Question 8. What steps should claims professionals take during surplus lines insurance claims litigation in Nebraska to effectively manage legal expenses? A. Minimizing documentation provided to legal counsel. B. Avoiding collaboration with legal experts. C. Requesting frequent updates on litigation costs. D. Limiting communication with insureds during litigation. Correct answer. C. Requesting frequent updates on litigation costs. Explanation. During surplus lines insurance claims litigation in Nebraska, claims professionals should request frequent updates on litigation costs to effectively manage legal expenses. Monitoring and managing costs helps insurers control expenditures, assess litigation strategies, and maintain financial discipline. By staying informed about litigation expenses, claims professionals demonstrate proactive management, ensure cost-effective litigation outcomes, and uphold regulatory compliance in claims handling. Question 9. Miss De La Cruz, a claims professional handling a surplus lines insurance claim in Nebraska, receives a gift from an insured party. What ethical considerations should Miss De La Cruz prioritize in this situation? A. Accepting the gift to maintain good relations with insureds. B. Disclosing the gift to relevant authorities. C. Returning the gift without explanation. D. Using the gift as leverage in claim negotiations. Correct answer. B. Disclosing the gift to relevant authorities. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, claims professionals like Mr. La Cruz must prioritize ethical considerations when offered gifts by insured parties. Ethical standards require disclosure of gifts to relevant authorities to prevent conflicts of interest, maintain impartiality, and uphold integrity in claims handling practices. By disclosing the gift, Mr. Lack Cruz avoids ethical breaches, complies with regulatory requirements, and reinforces trust and fairness in the claims process. Question 10. In Nebraska, what are the key responsibilities of claims professionals in managing the surplus lines insurance claims process? A. Minimizing communication with insureds to streamline the process. B. Adhering strictly to internal company policies regardless of circumstances. C. Ensuring timely and fair evaluation of claims while complying with regulations. D. Delaying claims resolution to assess market conditions. Correct answer. C. Ensuring timely and fair evaluation of claims while complying with regulations. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must ensure timely and fair evaluation of claims while complying with regulatory requirements. This includes promptly investigating claims, assessing coverage, and communicating effectively with insureds. By adhering to these responsibilities, claims professionals uphold ethical standards, promote customer satisfaction, and mitigate legal risks associated with claims handling. Question 11. When analyzing surplus lines insurance policies in Nebraska, how do claims professionals determine the applicability of coverage limitations? A. Applying limitations broadly to all claims. B. Ignoring limitations if they are not explicitly stated. C. Interpreting limitations in favor of the insured. D. Reviewing policy language and exclusions carefully. Correct answer. D. Reviewing policy language and exclusions carefully. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should review policy language and exclusions carefully to determine the applicability of coverage limitations. Understanding policy terms and exclusions is crucial for accurately assessing coverage and liability. By conducting thorough policy analysis, claims professionals ensure compliance with regulatory standards, protect insurer interests, and facilitate fair claims settlements. Question 12. During surplus lines insurance claims settlement negotiations in Nebraska, why is it important for claims professionals to document all settlement agreements? A. Documenting agreements ensures compliance with federal guidelines. B. Documenting agreements prevents insureds from disputing settlements. C. Documenting agreements provides a record of terms and conditions. D. Documenting agreements increases premiums for future policies. Correct answer. C. Documenting agreements provides a record of terms and conditions. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims settlement negotiations, claims professionals should document all settlement agreements to provide a clear record of terms and conditions agreed upon by both parties. Comprehensive documentation supports transparency, reduces disputes, and ensures that all parties adhere to negotiated terms. By documenting agreements, claims professionals uphold ethical standards, comply with regulatory requirements, and facilitate effective claims resolution. Question 13. In Nebraska, what are the implications for claims professionals if they fail to conduct a thorough investigation of a surplus lines insurance claim? A. Increased trust with insureds. B. Potential legal repercussions or sanctions. C. Exemption from regulatory reporting requirements. D. Reduction in claim processing time. Correct answer. B. Potential legal repercussions or sanctions. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, claims professionals face potential legal repercussions or sanctions if they fail to conduct a thorough investigation of a claim. Thorough investigation is essential to gather evidence, assess liability, and make informed claim decisions. Failure to investigate adequately can lead to legal challenges, regulatory fines, and damage to insurer reputation. Claims professionals must adhere to investigative best practices to mitigate risks and ensure compliance with regulatory requirements. Correct answer. B. Potential legal repercussions or sanctions. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, claims professionals face potential legal repercussions or sanctions if they fail to conduct a thorough investigation of a claim. Thorough investigation is essential to gather evidence, assess liability, and make informed claim decisions. Failure to investigate adequately can lead to legal challenges, regulatory fines, and damage to insurer reputation. Claims professionals must adhere to investigative best practices to mitigate risks and ensure compliance with regulatory requirements. Correct answer: B. Disclosing conflicts of interest to insureds and regulators. Explanation: ethical considerations in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling require claims professionals to prioritize disclosing conflicts of interest to insureds and regulators. Disclosure promotes transparency, builds trust, and ensures fair treatment of insureds. By disclosing conflicts of interest, claims professionals uphold ethical standards, comply with regulatory requirements, and mitigate risks associated with biased claim handling practices. Question 15. What are the consequences for claims professionals in Nebraska who fail to comply with state and federal regulations governing surplus lines insurance claims handling? A. Enhanced credibility with regulatory authorities. B. Potential suspension or revocation of licenses. C. Reduction in claim investigation requirements. D. Exemption from reporting requirements. Correct answer: B. Potential suspension or revocation of licenses. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance face potential suspension or revocation of licenses if they fail to comply with state and federal regulations governing claims handling. Compliance includes adhering to fair claims practices, reporting requirements, and ethical standards. Non-compliance can result in regulatory sanctions, loss of licensure, and legal consequences. Claims professionals must stay updated on regulatory obligations to maintain license integrity and ensure professionalism in claims handling. Question 16. In Nebraska, what factors should claims professionals consider when determining the adequacy of claim reserves in surplus lines insurance? A. Setting reserves based on insured's expectations. B. Adjusting reserves to minimize insurer liabilities. C. Using historical data and claim trends for estimation. D. Ignoring reserve requirements to expedite claims. Correct answer: C. Using historical data and claim trends for estimation. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should use historical data and claim trends for estimation when setting claim reserves. Accurate reserves reflect anticipated claim costs and ensure financial preparedness for potential liabilities. By considering historical data and claim trends, claims professionals enhance financial stability, support fair claims handling, and comply with regulatory requirements for reserve adequacy. Question 17. During surplus lines insurance claims settlement negotiations in Nebraska, why is it crucial for claims professionals to communicate effectively with insureds? A. Minimizing communication to avoid disputes. B. Excluding insureds from settlement discussions. C. Ensuring insureds understand settlement terms and options. D. Limiting transparency to expedite claim resolution. Correct answer: C. Ensuring insureds understand settlement terms and options. Explanation: effective communication with insureds during surplus lines insurance claims settlement negotiations in Nebraska ensures they understand settlement terms and options. Clear communication fosters trust, facilitates informed decision-making, and reduces misunderstandings. By engaging insureds in discussions and ensuring comprehension of settlement terms, claims professionals promote fairness, uphold ethical standards, and enhance customer satisfaction in claims handling. Question 18. Mr. Lim, a claims professional in Nebraska, discovers potential fraud by an insured during the investigation of a surplus lines insurance claim. What ethical considerations should Mr. Lim prioritize in this scenario? A. Concealing the fraud to avoid conflict with the insured. B. Reporting the fraud to relevant authorities. C. Continuing the investigation without addressing the fraud. D. Accepting a bribe from the insured to settle the claim. Correct answer. B. Reporting the fraud to relevant authorities. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, ethical considerations require claims professionals like Mr. Lim to prioritize reporting potential fraud to relevant authorities. Reporting fraud upholds integrity, supports regulatory compliance, and protects insurer interests. By taking prompt action and reporting fraud, claims professionals prevent financial losses, maintain credibility, and demonstrate ethical conduct in claims handling practices. Question 19. In Nebraska, what are the key considerations for claims professionals when managing surplus lines insurance claims through alternative dispute resolution methods? A. Avoiding a DR to expedite claim resolution. B. Allowing legal counsel to handle a DR independently. C. Understanding a DR processes and facilitating negotiations. D. Refusing to participate in a DR due to regulatory concerns. Correct answer. C. Understanding a DR processes and facilitating negotiations. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should understand ADR processes and facilitate negotiations to effectively manage claims through alternative dispute resolution. ADR methods, such as mediation or arbitration, offer efficient and cost-effective solutions for resolving disputes. By participating in ADR and facilitating negotiations, claims professionals demonstrate professionalism, promote fair resolutions, and comply with regulatory expectations for resolving claims outside of litigation. Question 20. During the initial stages of handling a surplus lines insurance claim in Nebraska, what role does effective documentation play in claims handling? A. Minimizing documentation to streamline the process. B. Documenting only final claim decisions. C. Ensuring comprehensive and accurate documentation. D. Avoiding documentation to reduce claim processing time. Correct answer. C. Ensuring comprehensive and accurate documentation. Explanation. Effective documentation in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling is crucial for ensuring comprehensive and accurate records of claim activities, decisions, and communications. Detailed documentation supports transparency, facilitates claim review, and mitigates disputes by maintaining thorough documentation. Claims professionals enhance regulatory compliance, protect insurer interests, and uphold ethical standards in claims handling practices. Question 21. When analyzing surplus lines insurance policies in Nebraska, why is it important for claims professionals to understand key terms and definitions? A. Ignoring key terms to expedite claim processing. B. Relying solely on insured's interpretations of terms. C. Interpreting terms broadly to maximize coverage. D. Ensuring accurate interpretation and application of policy terms. Correct answer. D. Ensuring accurate interpretation and application of policy terms. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must understand key terms and definitions in policies to ensure accurate interpretation and application. Clear understanding of policy terms helps in assessing coverage, handling claims efficiently, and resolving disputes. By interpreting terms accurately, claims professionals uphold fairness, comply with regulatory requirements, and maintain professionalism in claims handling practices. Question 22. In Nebraska, what ethical considerations should claims professionals prioritize when handling confidential information in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Sharing confidential information with colleagues for better decision-making. B. Safeguarding confidentiality and adhering to privacy requirements. C. Using confidential information as leverage during claim negotiations. D. Disclosing confidential information to competitors for strategic advantage. Correct answer. B. Safeguarding confidentiality and adhering to privacy requirements. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must prioritize safeguarding confidentiality and adhering to privacy requirements when handling confidential information. Ethical standards mandate protecting sensitive data from unauthorized disclosure. By respecting confidentiality, Claims professionals uphold trust, comply with legal obligations, and maintain integrity in claims handling practices. Question 23. During the evaluation of a complex surplus lines insurance claim in Nebraska, what role do outside experts and specialists play in the claims investigation process? A. Minimizing reliance on outside experts to control costs. B. Consulting outside experts to validate claim assessments. C. Ignoring opinions of outside experts to expedite claims. D. Engaging outside experts without documenting their findings. Correct answer. B. Consulting outside experts to validate claim assessments. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, outside experts and specialists play a crucial role in validating claim assessments and providing expert opinions on complex issues. Consulting outside experts enhances claims investigation accuracy, supports fair claim decisions, and strengthens insurer positions in disputes. Claims professionals should document and consider expert findings to ensure comprehensive and credible claims handling practices. Question 24. MS. Parker, a claims professional in Nebraska, is negotiating a settlement agreement for a surplus lines insurance claim. The insured requests a settlement amount above policy limits. What factors should MS. Parker consider in this scenario? A. Accepting the insured's request to avoid litigation. B. Refusing the insured's request to minimize costs. C. Evaluating coverage and legal implications of the request. D. Delaying settlement to assess market conditions. Correct answer. C. Evaluating coverage and legal implications of the request. Explanation. When negotiating a surplus lines insurance claim settlement in Nebraska, MS. Parker should evaluate coverage and legal implications of the insured's request for an amount above policy limits. This involves assessing policy terms, coverage limitations, and potential legal ramifications. By considering these factors, MS. Parker ensures compliance with regulatory standards, protects insurer interests, and facilitates fair and informed settlement negotiations. Question 25. In Nebraska, what steps should claims professionals take to effectively manage litigation in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Avoiding litigation to minimize legal costs. B. Working closely with legal counsel and providing documentation. C. Delaying responses to court summons for strategic advantage. D. Ignoring court orders to expedite claim resolution. Correct answer. B. Working closely with legal counsel and providing documentation. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should work closely with legal counsel and provide documentation to effectively manage litigation. Collaboration with legal experts ensures compliance with court procedures, timely responses to legal actions, and presentation of compelling evidence. By actively participating in litigation and supporting legal strategies, claims professionals protect insurer interests, mitigate legal risks, and promote favorable outcomes in disputed claims. Question 26. During the evaluation of a surplus lines insurance claim in Nebraska, what factors should claims professionals consider when determining coverage and liability? A. Ignoring insured's input on claim circumstances. B. Applying standard coverage templates to all claims. C. Reviewing policy terms and conducting thorough investigations. D. Refusing to negotiate settlements with insureds. Correct answer. C. Reviewing policy terms and conducting thorough investigations. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims evaluation, claims professionals should review policy terms and conduct thorough investigations to determine coverage and liability accurately. Understanding policy provisions, assessing claim facts, and gathering evidence are essential for making informed claim decisions. By considering these factors, claims professionals uphold fairness, minimize disputes, and ensure compliance with regulatory standards in claims handling practices. Question 27. What are the implications for claims professionals in Nebraska who fail to adhere to fair claims practices and consumer protection laws? A. Enhanced reputation and trust among consumers. B. Exemption from regulatory oversight. C. Potential fines, penalties, or license suspension. D. Reduction in claim investigation requirements. Correct answer. C. Potential fines, penalties, or license suspension. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance face potential fines, penalties, or license suspension if they fail to adhere to fair claims practices and consumer protection laws. Compliance includes handling claims fairly, providing accurate information to insureds, and resolving disputes promptly. Non-compliance can result in regulatory sanctions, loss of licensure, and legal consequences. Claims professionals must prioritize adherence to regulatory requirements to maintain professionalism, protect insurer interests, and uphold consumer trust. Question 28. In Nebraska, what considerations should claims professionals prioritize when evaluating settlement options for surplus lines insurance claims? A. Accepting initial settlement offers to expedite claim closure. B. Negotiating based on insured's financial status. C. Assessing policy terms, liability, and potential legal costs. D. Delaying settlement to assess market conditions. Correct answer. C. Assessing policy terms, liability, and potential legal costs. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should prioritize assessing policy terms, liability, and potential legal costs when evaluating settlement options. This involves understanding policy coverage, assessing claim liability, and estimating legal expenses. By considering these factors, claims professionals make informed settlement decisions, protect insurer interests, and ensure compliance with regulatory standards in claims handling practices. Question 29. Why is it important for claims professionals in Nebraska to maintain impartiality and fairness when handling surplus lines insurance claims? A. Favoring insureds to expedite claim processing. B. Minimizing communication with insureds to avoid conflicts. C. Upholding trust and integrity in claims handling practices. D. Using personal judgment to deny claim coverage. Correct answer. C. Upholding trust and integrity in claims handling practices. Explanation. Maintaining impartiality and fairness is crucial for claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance to uphold trust and integrity in claims handling practices. Impartiality ensures unbiased assessment of claims, fair treatment of insureds, and compliance with ethical standards. By prioritizing fairness, claims professionals promote transparency, mitigate disputes, and enhance customer satisfaction in claims resolution. Question 30. Ms. Rivera, a claims professional in Nebraska, suspects fraudulent activities during the investigation of a surplus lines insurance claim. What steps should Ms. Rivera take in this scenario? A. Concealing suspicions to avoid conflict with the insured. B. Reporting suspicions to relevant authorities and conducting a thorough investigation. C. Continuing the investigation without addressing suspicions. D. Accepting a bribe from the insured to settle the claim. Correct answer. B. Reporting suspicions to relevant authorities and conducting a thorough investigation. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, claims professionals like Ms. Rivera should report suspicions of fraudulent activities to relevant authorities and conduct a thorough investigation. Reporting fraud protects insurer interests, supports regulatory compliance, and prevents financial losses. By taking prompt action and conducting a diligent investigation, claims professionals uphold ethical standards, maintain credibility, and ensure fair treatment of all parties involved in claims handling processes. Question 31. What strategies should claims professionals in Nebraska employ when gathering and evaluating evidence in complex surplus lines insurance claims? A. Relying solely on insured statements for evidence. B. Documenting evidence comprehensively and objectively. C. Limiting evidence collection to minimize costs. D. Disregarding expert opinions in evidence evaluation. Correct answer. B. Documenting evidence comprehensively and objectively. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should employ strategies such as documenting evidence comprehensively and objectively when gathering and evaluating evidence in complex claims. This involves collecting multiple sources of evidence, verifying information, and maintaining detailed records. By documenting evidence thoroughly, claims professionals ensure accuracy, support claim decisions, and facilitate effective communication with insureds and other stakeholders. Question 32. During the claims handling process in Nebraska surplus lines insurance, why is it important for claims professionals to communicate effectively with insureds and other stakeholders? A. Minimizing communication to avoid conflicts. B. Providing partial information to expedite claims. C. Facilitating transparency and managing expectations. D. Excluding insureds from claim decisions. Correct answer. C. Facilitating transparency and managing expectations. Explanation. Effective communication in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling facilitates transparency and manages expectations among insureds and other stakeholders. Clear communication ensures that all parties understand the claims process, timelines, and outcomes. By fostering transparency, claims professionals build trust, mitigate disputes, and enhance customer satisfaction in claims resolution. Question 33. When interpreting policy language in surplus lines insurance claims in Nebraska, why is it important for claims professionals to consider exclusions and limitations? A. Ignoring exclusions to maximize coverage. B. Applying standard interpretations to all policies. C. Reviewing policy language and applying legal principles. D. Denying claims without reviewing policy details. Correct answer. C. Reviewing policy language and applying legal principles. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must review policy language and apply legal principles when interpreting exclusions and limitations. Understanding policy provisions ensures accurate assessment of coverage and liability. By considering exclusions and limitations, claims professionals uphold regulatory compliance, protect insurer interests, and facilitate fair resolution of claims disputes. Question 34. In Nebraska, what ethical considerations should claims professionals prioritize when handling claims involving multiple stakeholders? A. Favoring the insured to expedite claim resolution. B. Maintaining impartiality and fairness in claim decisions. C. Ignoring communication with third-party claimants. D. Using personal judgment to determine claim outcomes. Correct answer. B. Maintaining impartiality and fairness in claim decisions. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must prioritize maintaining impartiality and fairness when handling claims involving multiple stakeholders. Impartiality ensures unbiased assessment of claims, equitable treatment of all parties, and compliance with ethical standards. By upholding these principles, claims professionals foster trust, mitigate conflicts, and promote ethical conduct in claims handling practices. Question 35. During settlement negotiations for a surplus lines insurance claim in Nebraska, why is it important for claims professionals to understand legal implications and regulatory requirements? A. Ignoring legal implications to expedite settlement. B. Consulting with competitors for settlement advice. C. Assessing policy terms and potential legal costs. D. Delaying negotiations to assess market conditions. Correct answer. C. Assessing policy terms and potential legal costs. Explanation. Understanding legal implications and regulatory requirements is crucial for claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance during settlement negotiations. This involves evaluating policy terms, assessing potential legal costs, and complying with regulatory standards. By considering these factors, claims professionals make informed settlement decisions, protect insurer interests, and ensure compliance with legal obligations in claims handling practices. Question 36. Mr. Collins, a claims professional in Nebraska, receives conflicting evidence regarding a surplus lines insurance claim. What steps should Mr. Collins take to resolve the issue? A. Accepting the evidence that supports the insured's claim. B. Ignoring conflicting evidence to expedite claim closure. C. Conducting further investigation to clarify discrepancies. D. Refusing to review conflicting evidence due to workload. Correct answer. C. Conducting further investigation to clarify discrepancies. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, Mr. Collins should conduct further investigation to clarify discrepancies in conflicting evidence. This involves reviewing all available evidence, gathering additional information if necessary, and resolving inconsistencies. By addressing discrepancies, claims professionals ensure thorough claim assessment, uphold fairness, and facilitate accurate claim decisions. Question 37. In Nebraska, what role does effective documentation play in managing surplus lines insurance claims litigation? A. Minimizing documentation to streamline legal processes. B. Documenting all communications and actions thoroughly. C. Avoiding documentation to protect sensitive information. D. Delaying documentation until litigation concludes. Correct answer. B. Documenting all communications and actions thoroughly. Explanation. Effective documentation plays a critical role in managing surplus lines insurance claims litigation in Nebraska. Claims professionals should document all communications, actions, and decisions thoroughly to establish a clear record of events. Comprehensive documentation supports legal defenses, facilitates transparency, and ensures compliance with court requirements during litigation proceedings. Question 38. When reviewing surplus lines insurance policies in Nebraska, why is it important for claims professionals to understand key terms and definitions? A. Ignoring key terms to expedite claim processing. B. Reviewing policy terms based on personal interpretation. C. Interpreting policy language accurately to determine coverage. D. Accepting insured's interpretations without review. Correct answer. C. Interpreting policy language accurately to determine coverage. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should understand key terms and definitions in policy language to interpret coverage accurately. This involves analyzing policy provisions, exclusions, and endorsements to assess claim eligibility. By interpreting policy language correctly, claims professionals ensure fair claim decisions, minimize disputes, and comply with regulatory standards in claims handling practices. Question 39. Mr. Gomez, a claims professional in Nebraska, faces a surplus lines insurance claim where the insured demands a settlement amount above policy limits. What factors should Mr. Gomez consider in this scenario? A. Accepting the insured's demand to avoid litigation. B. Refusing settlement to minimize claim costs. C. Evaluating coverage, liability, and legal implications. D. Delaying settlement to assess market conditions. Correct answer. C. Evaluating coverage, liability, and legal implications. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, Mr. Gomez should consider factors such as coverage, liability, and legal implications when evaluating a settlement demand above policy limits. This involves assessing policy terms, estimating potential legal costs, and balancing insurer interests with insured expectations. By evaluating these factors, claims professionals make informed settlement decisions, protect insurer interests, and ensure compliance with regulatory requirements. Question 40. In Nebraska, what techniques should claims professionals employ when interviewing insureds, witnesses, and other parties involved in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Conducting interviews without documenting responses. B. Recording interviews to avoid misunderstanding. C. Limiting interviews to insureds only. D. Refusing to interview witnesses. Correct answer. B. Recording interviews to avoid misunderstanding. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should employ techniques such as recording interviews to avoid misunderstandings when interviewing insureds, witnesses, and other parties. This practice ensures accurate documentation of statements, enhances credibility, and supports claim decisions. By recording interviews, claims professionals maintain transparency, mitigate disputes, and facilitate fair resolution of claims. Question 41. During the evaluation of a surplus lines insurance claim in Nebraska, why is it important for claims professionals to utilize loss adjustment techniques and tools? They avoiding loss adjustment techniques to expedite claims. B. Using techniques to estimate claim costs accurately. C. Estimating costs based on competitor claims. D. Refusing to estimate costs to reduce workload. Correct answer. B. Using techniques to estimate claim costs accurately. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should utilize loss adjustment techniques and tools to estimate claim costs accurately during claim evaluation. This involves analyzing claim data, assessing damages, and applying industry standard methodologies. By using these techniques, claims professionals ensure precise claim evaluations, support fair settlements, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 42. What factors should claims professionals in Nebraska consider when negotiating and reaching a settlement agreement in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Accepting initial settlement offers to expedite closure. B. Negotiating based on insured's financial status. C. Assessing policy terms, liability, and legal costs. D. Delaying negotiations to assess market conditions. Correct answer. C. Assessing policy terms, liability, and legal costs. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should consider factors such as policy terms, liability, and legal costs when negotiating and reaching a settlement agreement. This involves evaluating coverage limits, assessing claim liability, and estimating potential legal expenses. By assessing these factors, claims professionals make informed negotiation decisions, protect insurer interests, and ensure compliance with regulatory standards in claims settlement practices. Question 43. In Nebraska, what are the key roles and responsibilities of claims professionals in the surplus lines insurance claims handling process? A. Only communicating with insureds. B. Documenting claims without reviewing. C. Ignoring regulatory requirements. D. Adhering to ethical standards. Correct answer. D. Adhering to ethical standards. Explanation. In surplus lines insurance in Nebraska, claims professionals have crucial roles and responsibilities. They must adhere to ethical standards, including fairness, transparency, and honesty in all communications and actions. This ensures compliance with regulatory requirements. By maintaining ethical standards, claims professionals uphold the integrity of the insurance industry, build trust with clients, and minimize the risk of legal issues. Question 44. When evaluating the extent and value of a claim in Nebraska surplus lines insurance, what methods should claims professionals employ? A. Ignoring loss adjustment techniques. B. Using industry standard methods. C. Refusing to estimate claim costs. D. Estimating costs based on opinions. Correct answer. B. Using industry standard methods. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should use industry standard methods when evaluating the extent and value of a claim. These methods include loss adjustment techniques, comparative analysis, and using reliable data sources. By employing these methods, claims professionals ensure accurate claim assessments, support fair settlements, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 45. Mr. Thompson, a claims professional in Nebraska, faces a surplus lines insurance claim that has escalated to litigation. What steps should Mr. Thompson take to manage the litigation process effectively? A. Avoiding legal counsel to reduce costs. B. Providing a complete documentation. C. Working with legal counsel and managing expenses. D. Ignoring court deadlines. Correct answer. C. Working with legal counsel and managing expenses. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims litigation, Mr. Thompson should work with legal counsel and manage expenses effectively. This involves collaborating with experienced attorneys, preparing thorough documentation, and adhering to court deadlines. By working with legal counsel, claims professionals ensure legal compliance, protect insurer interests, and facilitate efficient resolution of claims disputes through the judicial process. Question 46. What considerations should claims professionals in Nebraska take into account when evaluating coverage and liability in surplus lines insurance claims settlement? A. Ignoring policy exclusions for quicker settlement. B. Assessing policy terms and claim circumstances. C. Rejecting settlement negotiations outright. D. Accepting insured demands without review. Correct answer. B. Assessing policy terms and claim circumstances. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must consider policy terms and claim circumstances when evaluating coverage and liability in settlement negotiations. This involves reviewing policy provisions, assessing claim documentation, and evaluating liability. By assessing these factors, claims professionals ensure accurate claim evaluations, fair settlements, and compliance with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 47. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, why is it important for claims professionals to maintain confidentiality and privacy? A. Sharing claim details without consent. B. Maintaining transparency with insureds. C. Ignoring privacy regulations. D. Protecting sensitive information. Correct answer. D. Protecting sensitive information. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must prioritize maintaining confidentiality and privacy in claims handling practices. This involves safeguarding sensitive information, complying with privacy regulations, and protecting insured's personal data. By upholding confidentiality, claims professionals enhance trust, mitigate risks of identity theft or fraud, and uphold ethical standards in the insurance industry. Question 40. When interpreting policy language in surplus lines insurance claims in Nebraska, why is it important for claims professionals to consider legal principles and industry standards? A. Ignoring legal principles for expedited claims. B. Applying subjective interpretations. C. Reviewing policy language comprehensively. D. Denying claims without review. Correct answer. C. Reviewing policy language comprehensively. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must review policy language comprehensively when interpreting coverage and exclusions. This involves considering legal principles, industry standards, and regulatory requirements. By reviewing policy language in detail, claims professionals ensure accurate interpretation, fair claim assessments, and compliance with state laws governing surplus lines insurance. Question 49. In Nebraska, what are the responsibilities of claims professionals when utilizing outside experts and specialists in the investigation of surplus lines insurance claims? A. Limiting collaboration with experts. B. Validating experts' credentials and opinions. C. Ignoring expert recommendations. D. Accepting experts' opinions without review. Correct answer. B. Validating experts' credentials and opinions. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must validate experts' credentials and opinions when utilizing them in claim investigations. This involves verifying qualifications, reviewing methodologies, and assessing the relevance of expert findings. By validating experts, claims professionals ensure credibility, support claim decisions, and comply with regulatory standards in claims handling practices. Question 50. Why is it important for claims professionals in Nebraska to handle conflicts of interest appropriately during surplus lines insurance claims handling? A. Ignoring conflicts to expedite claims. B. Managing conflicts impartially and transparently. C. Favoring insured's interests in conflicts. D. Avoiding disclosure of conflicts. Correct answer. B. Managing conflicts impartially and transparently. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must manage conflicts of interest impartially and transparently during claims handling. This involves disclosing conflicts, acting in the best interest of all parties, and avoiding biased decisions. By managing conflicts ethically, claims professionals maintain trust, uphold integrity, and ensure fair treatment of insureds and other stakeholders in the claims process. Question 51. What are the implications of recent developments and updates in surplus lines insurance regulations for claims professionals in Nebraska? A. Ignoring regulatory updates for claims handling. B. Adapting practices to comply with new regulations. C. Delaying implementation of regulatory changes. D. Refusing to review regulatory updates. Correct answer. B. Adapting practices to comply with new regulations. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must adapt their practices to comply with recent developments and updates in insurance regulations. This involves staying informed about regulatory changes, updating procedures accordingly, and implementing compliance measures. By adapting to regulatory updates, claims professionals ensure legal compliance, mitigate risks, and maintain operational efficiency in claims handling practices. Question 52. In Nebraska, how does effective communication and documentation contribute to successful surplus lines insurance claims handling? A. Minimizing communication to avoid misunderstandings. B. Documenting all actions and communications thoroughly. C. Ignoring documentation to expedite claim processing. D. Limiting communication with insureds only. Correct answer. B. Documenting all actions and communications thoroughly. Explanation. Effective communication and thorough documentation play crucial roles in successful surplus lines insurance claims handling in Nebraska. Claims professionals should document all actions, communications, and decisions comprehensively to ensure transparency, accuracy, and compliance with regulatory standards. By maintaining detailed records, claims professionals facilitate efficient claims processing, mitigate disputes, and uphold ethical standards in the insurance industry. Question 53. When determining coverage and liability in surplus lines insurance claims in Nebraska, why is it important for claims professionals to utilize loss adjustment techniques? A. Avoiding loss adjustment techniques to expedite claims. B. Using techniques to estimate claim costs accurately. C. Refusing to estimate costs based on policy terms. D. Estimating costs without evidence. Correct answer. B. Using techniques to estimate claim costs accurately. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should utilize loss adjustment techniques to estimate claim costs accurately when determining coverage and liability. This involves analyzing claim data, assessing damages, and applying industry standard methodologies. By employing these techniques, claims professionals ensure precise claim evaluations, support fair settlements, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 54. Ms. Adams, a claims professional in Nebraska, encounters a surplus lines insurance claim where the insured disputes coverage under policy terms. What steps should Ms. Adams take to resolve this dispute? A. Denying coverage without review. B. Seeking legal advice immediately. C. Reviewing policy terms and claim documentation. D. Ignoring insured's concerns. Correct answer. C. Reviewing policy terms and claim documentation. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, Ms. Adams should review policy terms and claim documentation to resolve coverage disputes effectively. This involves analyzing policy provisions, assessing claim circumstances, and communicating with all parties involved. By reviewing these documents, claims professionals clarify coverage issues, facilitate informed decisions, and ensure compliance with contractual obligations in claims handling practices. Question 55. What are the key responsibilities of claims professionals in Nebraska when gathering and evaluating evidence in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Collecting evidence selectively to expedite claims. B. Reviewing evidence based on personal judgment. C. Ignoring evidence provided by insureds. D. Objectively evaluating all gathered evidence. Correct answer. D. Objectively evaluating all gathered evidence. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must objectively evaluate all gathered evidence when investigating claims. This involves collecting relevant information, verifying sources, and analyzing data to determine claim validity. By objectively evaluating evidence, claims professionals ensure fair claim decisions, support claim resolutions, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 56. Why is it important for claims professionals in Nebraska to adhere to professional standards and conduct during surplus lines insurance claims handling? A. Ignoring professional conduct to expedite claims. B. Following ethical guidelines and regulations. C. Refusing to comply with industry standards. D. Favoring insured's interests over insurers. Correct answer. B. Following ethical guidelines and regulations. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must adhere to professional standards and conduct during claims handling to uphold ethical guidelines and regulations. This involves maintaining integrity, transparency, and fairness in all interactions and decisions. By following professional standards, claims professionals enhance trust, mitigate risks of legal issues, and uphold the reputation of the insurance industry. Question 57. What role do state and federal regulations play in governing surplus lines insurance claims handling practices in Nebraska? A. Ignoring regulatory requirements to expedite claims. B. Adhering to regulatory standards and reporting requirements. C. Refusing to comply with fair claims practices. D. Delaying implementation of regulatory changes. Correct answer. B. Adhering to regulatory standards and reporting requirements. Explanation. State and federal regulations play a crucial role in governing surplus lines insurance claims handling practices in Nebraska. Claims professionals must adhere to regulatory standards, including fair claims practices and consumer protection laws. By complying with these regulations, claims professionals ensure legal compliance, protect consumer interests, and maintain ethical standards in the insurance industry. Question 58. Why is it important for claims professionals in Nebraska to negotiate and reach settlement agreements in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Avoiding settlement negotiations for quicker claim closure. B. Ensuring fair and equitable resolutions for all parties. C. Refusing to negotiate based on insured's demands. D. Accepting initial settlement offers without review. Correct answer. B. Ensuring fair and equitable resolutions for all parties. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must negotiate and reach settlement agreements to ensure fair and equitable resolutions for all parties involved in claims. This involves assessing policy terms, evaluating liability, and considering claim circumstances. By negotiating settlements, claims professionals uphold insurer obligations, protect insured's interests, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 59. What strategies should claims professionals in Nebraska employ when managing litigation expenses in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Ignoring litigation expenses to reduce costs. B. Working with legal counsel to manage expenses effectively. C. Delaying litigation proceedings indefinitely. D. Refusing to provide documentation during litigation. Correct answer. B. Working with legal counsel to manage expenses effectively. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should work with legal counsel to manage litigation expenses effectively when handling claims disputes. This involves budgeting, negotiating legal fees, and strategizing litigation tactics. By managing expenses with legal counsel, claims professionals control costs, ensure legal compliance, and facilitate efficient resolution of claims through the judicial process. Question 60. What ethical considerations should claims professionals in Nebraska prioritize in surplus lines insurance claims handling? A. Ignoring conflicts of interest in claim decisions. B. Maintaining confidentiality and privacy. C. Sharing sensitive information without consent. D. Failing to disclose policy terms to insureds. Correct answer. B. Maintaining confidentiality and privacy. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must prioritize maintaining confidentiality and privacy in claims handling practices. This involves safeguarding sensitive information, respecting insured's privacy rights, and complying with confidentiality regulations. By maintaining confidentiality, claims professionals enhance trust, protect personal data, and uphold ethical standards in the insurance industry. Question 61. When interpreting policy exclusions in surplus lines insurance claims in Nebraska, why is it important for claims professionals to consider case law and industry standards? A. Ignoring case law to expedite claim decisions. B. Applying subjective interpretations of policy terms. C. Reviewing case law and industry standards comprehensively. D. Denying claims without review of policy exclusions. Correct answer. C. Reviewing case law and industry standards comprehensively. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should review case law and industry standards comprehensively when interpreting policy exclusions. This involves analyzing legal precedents, understanding industry practices, and applying consistent interpretations. By considering case law and industry standards, claims professionals ensure accurate policy interpretation, fair claim assessments, and compliance with regulatory requirements. Question 62. Ms. Davis, a claims professional in Nebraska, discovers a potential conflict of interest while handling a surplus lines insurance claim. What actions should Ms. Davis take to address this situation ethically? A. Ignoring the conflict to expedite claim processing. B. Disclosing the conflict to all parties involved. C. Failing to inform insureds about the conflict. D. Proceeding with biased claim decisions. Correct answer. B. Disclosing the conflict to all parties involved. Explanation: in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, Ms. Davis should disclose any potential conflicts of interest to all parties involved in the claim. This involves transparency, informing insureds, and seeking guidance from supervisors or legal counsel. By disclosing conflicts, claims professionals maintain integrity, uphold ethical standards, and ensure fair treatment of insureds in the claims process. Question 63. What are the implications of non-compliance with fair claims practices and consumer protection laws in Nebraska surplus lines insurance? A. Ignoring implications to expedite claims processing. B. Facing legal penalties and sanctions. C. Complying with regulations selectively. D. Delaying implementation of consumer protection laws. Correct answer. B. Facing legal penalties and sanctions. Explanation: non-compliance with fair claims practices and consumer protection laws in Nebraska surplus lines insurance can result in legal penalties and sanctions. Claims professionals must adhere to regulatory standards, including fair treatment of policyholders, prompt claim handling, and transparent communication. By complying with these laws, claims professionals mitigate risks, protect insurer reputation, and ensure ethical conduct in claims handling practices. Question 64. What factors should claims professionals in Nebraska consider when reserving and estimating claim costs in surplus lines insurance? A. Using arbitrary estimates to expedite claims. B. Ignoring policy limits and coverage terms. C. Considering claim circumstances and policy provisions. D. Refusing to estimate costs based on claimant demands. Correct answer. C. Considering claim circumstances and policy provisions. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should consider claim circumstances and policy provisions when reserving and estimating claim costs. This involves analyzing policy limits, assessing damages, and applying actuarial techniques. By considering these factors, Claims professionals ensure accurate reserves, support fair settlements, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 65. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance, why is it important for claims professionals to provide comprehensive documentation and evidence during litigation? A. Delaying litigation proceedings to avoid documentation. B. Failing to disclose evidence to legal counsel. C. Providing documentation selectively. D. Supporting legal arguments with evidence. Correct answer. D. Supporting legal arguments with evidence. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should provide comprehensive documentation and evidence during litigation to support legal arguments effectively. This involves compiling relevant records, disclosing information to legal counsel, and presenting evidence in court. By supporting legal arguments with evidence, claims professionals strengthen their case, facilitate informed decisions, and uphold due process in the judicial process. Question 66. Mr. Thompson, a claims professional in Nebraska, receives his settlement offer from the insured in a surplus lines insurance claim. What steps should Mr. Thompson take to negotiate a fair settlement? A. Accepting the initial offer without review. B. Reviewing policy terms and claim circumstances. C. Ignoring insured's settlement demands. D. Denying settlement negotiations. Correct answer. B. Reviewing policy terms and claim circumstances. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, Mr. Thompson should review policy terms and claim circumstances to negotiate a fair settlement. This involves analyzing coverage, evaluating liability, and communicating effectively with all parties involved. By reviewing these factors, claims professionals ensure fair settlements, support insurer obligations, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 67. What strategies should claims professionals in Nebraska employ when interviewing insured's witnesses and other parties involved in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Conducting interviews informally to save time. B. Asking leading questions to influence responses. C. Gathering unbiased and factual information. D. Avoiding interviews with insureds. Correct answer. C. Gathering unbiased and factual information. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should gather unbiased and factual information when interviewing insureds, witnesses, and other parties involved in claims. This involves conducting structured interviews, asking open-ended questions, and verifying details. By gathering unbiased information, claims professionals ensure thorough investigations, support accurate claim assessments, and uphold ethical standards in claims handling practices. Question 60. What are the implications of not documenting settlement agreements in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims? A. Avoiding documentation to expedite claims closure. B. Risking disputes over settlement terms and conditions. C. Refusing to disclose settlement terms to insureds. D. Delaying settlement negotiations indefinitely. Correct answer. B. Risking disputes over settlement terms and conditions. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, not documenting settlement agreements can risk disputes over terms and conditions. Claims professionals should document agreements thoroughly, including settlement terms, release conditions, and parties' obligations. By documenting settlements, claims professionals prevent misunderstandings, ensure compliance with contractual agreements, and mitigate legal risks in claims handling practices. Question 69. What are the consequences of failing to comply with licensing and reporting requirements for surplus lines claims in Nebraska? A. Ignoring consequences to expedite claims processing. B. Facing regulatory fines and penalties. C. Complying with reporting selectively. D. Delaying licensing updates indefinitely. Correct answer. B. Facing regulatory fines and penalties. Explanation. Failure to comply with licensing and reporting requirements for surplus lines claims in Nebraska can result in regulatory fines and penalties. Claims professionals must adhere to licensing rules, submit accurate reports, and update licenses as required. By complying with these requirements, claims professionals maintain legal compliance, support insurer operations, and uphold regulatory standards in the insurance industry. Question 70. Why is it important for claims professionals in Nebraska to utilize loss adjustment techniques and tools in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Avoiding loss adjustment tools to expedite claims closure. B. Using tools selectively based on personal judgment. C. Enhancing accuracy in evaluating claim costs and damages. D. Refusing to estimate losses for insureds. Correct answer. C. Enhancing accuracy in evaluating claim costs and damages. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should utilize loss adjustment techniques and tools to enhance accuracy when evaluating claim costs and damages. This involves applying standardized methods, assessing evidence, and calculating losses objectively. By using these tools, claims professionals ensure fair claim settlements, support insurer decisions, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 71. What steps should claims professionals in Nebraska take to effectively manage surplus lines insurance claims through alternative dispute resolution methods? A. Ignoring alternative dispute resolution to avoid conflicts. B. Seeking legal counsel without exploring settlement options. C. Engaging in constructive dialogue and negotiation. D. Refusing to participate in mediation or arbitration. Correct answer. C. Engaging in constructive dialogue and negotiation. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should engage in constructive dialogue and negotiation when managing claims through alternative dispute resolution methods. This involves exploring settlement options, communicating with all parties, and facilitating mutual agreements. By participating in these processes, claims professionals resolve disputes efficiently, reduce litigation costs, and maintain positive insurer-insured relationships. Question 72. Mr. Roberts, a claims professional in Nebraska, faces a conflict of interest while handling a surplus lines insurance claim. How should Mr. Roberts address this ethical dilemma? A. Ignoring the conflict to expedite claim processing. B. Failing to disclose the conflict to insureds. C. Informing all parties involved about the conflict. D. Proceeding with biased claim decisions. Correct answer. C. Informing all parties involved about the conflict. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, Mr. Roberts should inform all parties involved about the conflict of interest. This involves transparency, disclosing relevant information, and seeking guidance from supervisors or legal counsel. By addressing the conflict ethically, claims professionals uphold integrity, maintain trust with insureds, and ensure fair treatment in the claims process. Question 73. What are the responsibilities of claims professionals in Nebraska when utilizing outside experts and specialists in surplus lines insurance claims investigation? A. Avoiding collaboration with experts to save costs. B. Utilizing experts selectively without proper credentials. C. Engaging qualified experts and overseeing their work. D. Refusing assistance from outside experts. Correct answer. C. Engaging qualified experts and overseeing their work. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should engage qualified experts and oversee their work during claims investigation. This involves selecting experts with relevant expertise, monitoring their findings, and integrating their insights into claim assessments. By collaborating with experts, claims professionals enhance investigation accuracy, support claim decisions, and uphold professional standards in claims handling practices. Question 74. Why is it crucial for claims professionals in Nebraska to comply with regulatory requirements when negotiating and documenting settlement agreements in surplus lines insurance? A. Ignoring regulatory requirements to expedite settlements. B. Documenting settlements selectively. C. Ensuring transparency and fairness in settlements. D. Refusing to negotiate settlements based on insurer policies. Correct answer: C. Ensuring transparency and fairness in settlements. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must comply with regulatory requirements to ensure transparency and fairness in negotiating and documenting settlement agreements. This involves adhering to state laws, disclosing settlement terms, and obtaining necessary approvals. By complying with these requirements, claims professionals protect insured's rights, prevent disputes, and maintain compliance with legal standards in claims settlement practices. Question 75. What ethical considerations should claims professionals in Nebraska prioritize when handling surplus lines insurance claims involving multiple parties? A. Failing to disclose information to insureds. B. Managing conflicts of interest impartially. C. Disregarding insured's privacy rights. D. Proceeding with biased claim decisions. Correct answer: B. Managing conflicts of interest impartially. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should prioritize managing conflicts of interest impartially when handling claims involving multiple parties. This involves disclosing conflicts, avoiding bias, and seeking guidance from supervisors or legal counsel. By managing conflicts ethically, claims professionals maintain integrity, foster trust with insureds, and uphold professional standards in claims handling practices. Question 76. Why is it essential for claims professionals in Nebraska to understand key terms and definitions in surplus lines insurance policies? A. Ignoring policy terms to expedite claim decisions. B. Applying subjective interpretations of policy language. C. Enhancing accuracy in policy interpretation and coverage determination. D. Denying claims without reviewing policy definitions. Correct answer: C. Enhancing accuracy in policy interpretation and coverage determination. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should understand key terms and definitions in insurance policies to enhance accuracy in policy interpretation and coverage determination. This involves interpreting policy language objectively, clarifying ambiguous terms, and applying industry standards. By understanding these terms, claims professionals ensure fair claim assessments, support insurer obligations, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 77. What factors should claims professionals in Nebraska consider when determining coverage and liability in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Ignoring policy provisions and exclusions. B. Applying arbitrary coverage decisions. C. Analyzing policy terms and claim circumstances. D. Refusing to assess liability for insureds. Correct answer: C. Analyzing policy terms and claim circumstances. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should analyze policy terms and claim circumstances when determining coverage and liability. This involves interpreting policy provisions, assessing damages, and considering legal principles. By analyzing these factors, professionals ensure accurate coverage determinations, support fair claim settlements, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 78. Why is it crucial for claims professionals in Nebraska to document settlement agreements in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Avoiding documentation to expedite claim processing. B. Delaying settlement negotiations indefinitely. C. Ensuring transparency and accountability. D. Refusing to disclose settlement terms to insureds. Correct answer: C. Ensuring transparency and accountability. Explanation: in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, documenting settlement agreements is crucial to ensure transparency and accountability. This involves recording settlement terms, obtaining necessary approvals, and disclosing information to insureds. By documenting agreements, claims professionals uphold contractual obligations, prevent disputes, and comply with legal standards in claims settlement practices. Question 79. What ethical considerations should claims professionals in Nebraska prioritize when handling confidential information in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Failing to protect confidential data. B. Sharing information with unauthorized parties. C. Maintaining confidentiality and privacy. D. Using confidential information for personal gain. Correct answer. C. Maintaining confidentiality and privacy. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should prioritize maintaining confidentiality and privacy when handling confidential information. This involves safeguarding data, obtaining necessary authorizations, and complying with privacy laws. By maintaining confidentiality, professionals protect insured's rights, prevent data breaches, and uphold ethical standards in claims handling practices. Question 80. What strategies should claims professionals in Nebraska employ to effectively manage litigation in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Avoiding legal counsel to save costs. B. Engaging in adversarial litigation tactics. C. Providing documentation and evidence. D. Refusing to participate in settlement discussions. Correct answer. C. Providing documentation and evidence. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should provide documentation and evidence to effectively manage litigation. This involves compiling records, cooperating with legal counsel, and presenting facts. By providing thorough documentation, professionals support legal defenses, facilitate case resolutions, and uphold regulatory compliance in claims handling practices. Question 81. Why is it essential for claims professionals in Nebraska to comply with fair claims practices and consumer protection laws in surplus lines insurance? A. Ignoring consumer rights to expedite claims. B. Failing to disclose claim processes to insureds. C. Protecting insured's rights and interests. D. Refusing to process claims for insureds. Correct answer. C. Protecting insured's rights and interests. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must comply with fair claims practices and consumer protection laws to protect insured's rights and interests. This involves adhering to disclosure requirements, handling claims fairly, and resolving disputes. By complying with these laws, professionals ensure transparency, prevent unfair practices, and maintain trust with insureds in claims handling practices. Question 82. MS. Garcia, a claims professional in Nebraska, receives a complex surplus lines insurance claim involving multiple stakeholders. How should MS. Garcia prioritize communication and documentation in this scenario? A. Delaying communication to manage workload. B. Documenting claim details inaccurately. C. Maintaining regular communication and thorough documentation. D. Refusing to engage with insureds and stakeholders. Correct answer. C. Maintaining regular communication and thorough documentation. Explanation. In Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling (MS), Garcia should prioritize maintaining regular communication and thorough documentation when managing complex claims. This involves updating stakeholders, recording interactions, and preserving evidence. By prioritizing communication and documentation, claims professionals ensure clarity, facilitate claim resolutions, and support compliance with regulatory requirements. Question 83. What are the best practices for claims professionals in Nebraska when interviewing insureds, witnesses, and other parties involved in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Conducting interviews without preparation. B. Avoiding recorded statements to save time. C. Asking open-ended questions and documenting responses. D. Refusing to interview witnesses for claim verification. Correct answer. C. Asking open-ended questions and documenting responses. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should ask open-ended questions and document responses when interviewing insureds, witnesses, and other parties. This involves preparing for interviews, gathering comprehensive information, and maintaining accuracy. By employing these practices, professionals gather evidence, verify claim details, and support fair claim resolutions in compliance with regulatory standards. Question 84. What ethical considerations should claims professionals in Nebraska prioritize when handling claims involving confidential information? A. Sharing confidential data with unauthorized parties. B. Failing to obtain consent before disclosing information. C. Safeguarding confidential information and obtaining necessary approvals. D. Using confidential information for personal gain. Correct answer: C. Safeguarding confidential information and obtaining necessary approvals. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should prioritize safeguarding confidential information and obtaining necessary approvals when handling claims. This involves protecting data, securing permissions, and complying with privacy laws. By prioritizing these ethical considerations, professionals uphold confidentiality, prevent breaches, and maintain trust with insureds in claims handling practices. Question 85. Why is it important for claims professionals in Nebraska to utilize loss adjustment techniques and tools in surplus lines insurance claims? A. Avoiding loss adjustment tools to save time. B. Using tools arbitrarily without assessing damages. C. Enhancing accuracy in evaluating claim costs and damages. D. Refusing to estimate losses for insureds. Correct answer: C. Enhancing accuracy in evaluating claim costs and damages. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should utilize loss adjustment techniques and tools to enhance accuracy in evaluating claim costs and damages. This involves applying standardized methods, assessing evidence, and calculating losses objectively. By using these tools, professionals ensure fair claim settlements, support insurer decisions, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 86. What are the key considerations for claims professionals in Nebraska when negotiating and reaching a settlement agreement in surplus lines insurance? A. Avoiding settlement negotiations to expedite claims. B. Engaging in one-sided negotiations without compromise. C. Considering insured's interests and settlement terms. D. Refusing to negotiate settlements based on insurer policies. Correct answer: C. Considering insured's interests and settlement terms. Explanation: claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should consider insured's interests and settlement terms when negotiating and reaching a settlement agreement. This involves evaluating claims, discussing options, and reaching fair agreements. By considering these factors, professionals facilitate fair resolutions, protect insured's rights, and uphold ethical standards in claims handling practices. Question 87. Mr. Thompson, a claims professional in Nebraska, faces a conflict of interest while handling a surplus lines insurance claim. What steps should Mr. Thompson take to manage this situation ethically? A. Ignoring the conflict to proceed with claim decisions. B. Disclosing the conflict and seeking guidance. C. Concealing information to avoid complications. D. Refusing to handle the claim due to conflict. Correct answer: B. Disclosing the conflict and seeking guidance. Explanation: in Nebraska surplus lines insurance claims handling, Mr. Thompson should disclose the conflict of interest and seek guidance as an ethical responsibility. This involves notifying supervisors, consulting legal counsel, and managing conflicts impartially. By disclosing conflicts and seeking guidance, claims professionals uphold transparency, prevent bias, and maintain integrity in claims handling practices. Question 88. How should claims professionals in Nebraska manage legal expenses during surplus lines insurance claims litigation? A. Avoiding legal counsel to reduce expenses. B. Engaging in costly litigation without strategy. C. Managing legal expenses and assessing cost effectiveness. D. Refusing to participate in litigation proceedings. Correct answer. C. Managing legal expenses and assessing cost effectiveness. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should manage legal expenses and assess cost effectiveness during claims litigation. This involves budgeting, evaluating strategies, and controlling costs. By managing expenses effectively, professionals support insurer objectives, mitigate financial risks, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices. Question 89. What steps should claims professionals in Nebraska follow to ensure compliance with regulatory requirements in surplus lines insurance claims handling? A. Ignoring regulatory guidelines to expedite claims. B. Consulting legal counsel for every claim decision. C. Adhering to state and federal regulations and reporting requirements. D. Refusing to submit claims reports to regulatory authorities. Correct answer. C. Adhering to state and federal regulations and reporting requirements. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance must adhere to state and federal regulations and reporting requirements to ensure compliance in claims handling. This involves understanding regulatory guidelines, submitting required reports, and maintaining transparency. By complying with these requirements, professionals support legal compliance, mitigate risks, and uphold ethical standards in claims handling practices. Question 90. Why is it important for claims professionals in Nebraska to utilize outside experts and specialists in surplus lines insurance claims investigation? A. Avoiding expert opinions to save costs. B. Utilizing experts without assessing qualifications. C. Enhancing investigation accuracy and credibility. D. Refusing to involve experts in claims investigation. Correct answer. C. Enhancing investigation accuracy and credibility. Explanation. Claims professionals in Nebraska surplus lines insurance should utilize outside experts and specialists to enhance investigation accuracy and credibility. This involves assessing qualifications, obtaining expert opinions, and validating findings. By involving experts, professionals gather comprehensive information, support claim decisions, and comply with regulatory requirements in claims handling practices.